Exploring Poland on the waterways of Europe. Starting from Hel Peninsula, the journey travels the Baltic Sea down to the Hanseatic city of Gdansk, then follows the Vistula and the Elbląg Canal to the Masurian Lake District. Hel Peninsula, which juts out into the Baltic Sea, is the starting point for a waterbound journey to Masuria. The route stretches over 400 kilometers from white sandy beaches, down rivers and canals, through cultural and natural landscapes, in motorboats and sailboats. Hel extends 34 kilometers into the Polish Baltic Sea, and together with the mainland, forms Puck Bay. In Poland, Hel is a popular destination. Many visitors come from the Tri-City. Gdansk, Gdynia and Sopot are just 20 kilometers away by water. Here, there is a marine research station connected to the University of Gdansk. Biologist Michał Skóra and his students study how environmental factors in the Baltic Sea affect marine life in the area.
At the Hel station, I focus on questions of ichthyology, fish science, and in particular rare and protected fish. I gained my knowledge and professional experience at the Inland Fisheries Institute and pass it along to my students here.
The research station is dedicated to the condition of all life forms in the Baltic Sea. The inland sea has just a narrow connection to the North Sea, yet 85 million people live in the catchment area and drain their wastewater into the sea. The underwater world is increasingly impacted by it. The centre also maintains the only seal station in the country, known in Polish as the Focarium. Students from around the world study the behaviour of marine mammals on the peninsula. In spite of their childlike appearance, with big eyes and comical faces, seals are predators. They are the biggest meat eaters in the Baltic. The public feedings are a major draw in the high season. The marine station receives 500,000 visitors every year.
The people who enjoy their holidays here are not very aware that the condition of the Baltic Sea also depends on them. No matter how far away from the Baltic people live, they influence its condition. For instance, with their morning bathroom routine. The rivers ultimately transport the wastewater. The water is cleaned in treatment plants, but some residual waste remains.
Today, the Baltic Sea is saturated with nitrogen and phosphate from wastewater and farming, washed into the sea from the rivers of the coastal states. This poses a threat to the already small seal population, one of the reasons it is a protected species. In the wild, the shy, fin-footed creatures are rarely observed. At the Focarium, the animals are outfitted with tracking chips for research purposes. The journey now takes us to Gdansk via the Baltic, the final kilometers in a small motorboat by way of a branch of the Vistula. The erstwhile Hanseatic city is known for its industry, wharves, and seaport. Cargo ships are a rare sight on Poland's waterways, where goods transport makes up just 0.5% of freight transport, well below the level in other countries of Western Europe. Yet for centuries, Gdansk played an important role in the Hanseatic League and shipped goods to many parts of Europe. The Motława River flows through the old warehouse district with its historic trading houses. Dozens of shipwrecks from all eras lie in the depths off Gdansk Bay. Gdansk's Maritime Museum catalogues the wrecks in digital form. Its website also features a virtual exhibition of the wrecks. The 3D models are pieced together from hundreds of underwater photos. At an outpost of the museum in Chev, just a few kilometers from Gdansk, a team of specialists is restoring some of the finds. It is both a workshop and exhibition, and open to the public. Some of the objects are over 1,000 years old. They are a testament to the immense importance of maritime trade in the Baltic region. We now leave Gdansk via the Motława River and the dead Vistula. On what was once one of the most heavily used inland waterways in Poland, today there is little traffic. A few kilometers east of Gdansk, a human-made outlet to the Baltic in the Vistula. At its tip lies a nature reserve established to protect nesting places. A large population of water birds lives on the sandbar. Ornithologists and environmentalists attend to the survival of the animals and observe their behavior, but they also keep an eye on people. Day visitors often stray into the reserve. The scientist also looks for sea swallow chicks. In order to tag them and follow their development. Birds have been tagged and measured for some 100 years in order to record their lifespans and habitats and monitor their health. It's been going on here for nearly 40 years. After tagging, the little birds are immediately set free in order to minimize any impact on their well-being. In spite of the enormous number of birds here, biologists have begun to notice severe declines in biodiversity. Over 1,000 kilometers long, the Vistula is the longest river in the country and Poland's national river. Its artificial mouth at this location was created in 1895 to ease drainage in times of high water. A cable ferry maneuvered by a tugboat has been in operation since 1945 and connects the riverbanks. Despite its width, the Vistula is too shallow for larger boats here. Only sport boats like Captain Martin's ply the waters here. The trip continues on the Skarpawa, which branches off the Vistula. It runs parallel to the Baltic Sea before turning further inland. The Skarpawa flows to Warmia Masuria and converges with a tributary, the Nogat. It flows through Elblong. From here we continue the journey aboard a pleasure steamer. It is part of the local fleet of passenger vessels. The steamboat sets course for the Elbląg Canal. The trip traverses the bird sanctuary at Lake Druzno. Just 5 kilometers from Elbląg, one momentarily feels as if transported to the Amazon. On the water slopes of the Elbląg Canal, the boats quite literally sail over the green meadows. Up the hill, and back down to the valley. These inclined planes, a technical stroke of genius, were invented by Prussian engineer Georg Steenke in the mid-19th century to transport wood. And today the ships still rattle over land on railway carriages pulled by cables and powered by water wheels. Up and down a series of inclined planes over a space of a few kilometers, the ships scale a total of 100 meters of elevation. Today, the systems are protected cultural heritage and the only ones of their kind in the world. We now make the leap to the land of 1,000 lakes, for the area can only be reached over land. In the water-rich capital of Masuria, Olstyn, we visit Lake Cottovo. Highly contaminated by the 1950s, it would later become the setting for one of the first successful lake restorations in the world. At the Department of Environmental Studies, Renata Augustyniak continues to search for new methods of saving bodies of water.
The main problem in the contamination of inland waters is the amount of phosphorus in the water. Recultivation is essentially about eliminating this excess. This impedes the growth of algae, which require phosphorus as a nutrient.
Around the world, there are two contrary tendencies with regard to water quality. On the one hand, it continuously declines due to human impact. On the other hand, cleaning methods are improving all the time. This is also true for the lakes of Masuria.
Olstyn has great water resources. There are 11 lakes in the city, and we also have large groundwater resources that can be used as drinking water. The tap water here is of excellent quality, and I recommend drinking it instead of buying bottles. It costs much less and is as good, if not better.
Water reserves in Poland are not bountiful, however. Roughly 1,500 cubic meters per capita per annum, or about as much as an Olympic pool holds. That puts Poland roughly on a par with Egypt. UNESCO speaks of water stress when resources dip below 1,700 cubic meters and scarcity below 1,000. Poland has strict water extraction laws, but people don't always abide by them. Recent years have seen more frequent heavy rainfall, which is repelled by dry ground, and doesn't seep down to the water table. In terms of water quality, even just using detergents and cleaning agents with a low phosphate content can help improve the quality. Renata Augustyniak and her team continue to examine Lake Cottovo today. After all, they want it to stay as clean as it is now. The journey through the Masurian Lake District continues as the crow flies, as it were. The last ice age left this landscape as it was roughly 10,000 years ago. Many of the lakes are connected. Others are solitary figures in the landscape. The white stork is regarded as a national symbol of Poland and a frequent sight in this water-rich landscape. In many villages, one sees their nests on chimneys and telephone poles. The route runs along the Krutynia, one of the clearest rivers in the country and whose source is the lake of the same name, a paradise for canoeists. A traditional and still widely available option is the punt boat. Aboard a flat-bottom punt, we navigate the Krutynia through the Puszka-Piska forest. It wends its way through the Masurian Landscape Reserve for 100 kilometers. The Krutynia is so clean that its water has drinking water quality. The palm-sized mussels on the bed are the surest sign of pristine waters. The rare kingfisher is at home here. Also on the banks of the Krutynia is the town named after it, Krutin. The administration of the Masurian Landscape Park is based in the town, as is a rehab center for injured storks. Waldemar Bzura and his colleagues feed the animals fresh fish and tend to them until they are able to fly again.
The injured storks that we tend to in the healing phase are primarily brought from the Masurian Landscape Park, but not only from there. They also come to us from Giżycko and other towns. It's usually storks that have fallen out of their nests during a storm or strong winds.
After recovering, the birds are released back into the wild in late summer for their journey to the south. Otherwise, they spend the winter in the state breeding station. After a clear, cold Masurian full moon night, early morning fog emerges. The slowly warming morning air meets colder layers over the waters. Saturated with water vapor, the air cools and coalesces into white wisps. The mood is as spellbinding as the desire to capture it. At around 5 in the morning, Waldemar Bzura is already on the move with his camera to capture the atmosphere in this fleeting confluence of factors.
The fog naturally makes our landscape even more beautiful. It adds something to the photos and films. I think that somehow the fog calms us.
It is precisely this calm that the photographer needs for his work. The Krutin-based ranger has published numerous photo volumes. One of them is called Masuria Between the Sky and Water. The man in camouflage is drawn again and again to the Zakret Nature Reserve, just 1 kilometer from his village. Zakret is part of the Masurian Landscape Park. The subject of today's expedition is the floating islands. They form when plants floating on the lake slowly grow together. Some of them actually sprout small trees. The marsh biotope is home to a particularly rich array of flora and fauna. Delicious wild berries grow here. And one encounters the rare and shy black stork. And can observe the flight of the crane, a bounty of motifs for patient early risers.
The most important thing is calmness. You can't force anything. If it doesn't work one day, tomorrow is a new day. And if not then, it will work at some point. This is how my pictures happen. I've never said to myself, you have to photograph the wolf or the deer. If not today, then tomorrow. Calmness is key.
These sometimes otherworldly forests along the Krutynia are home to many animals that have become rare in other places. Those who wish to see them must learn to be still. The cultural history of the Krutynia region is rich as well. Just 150 meters from the riverbank in the hamlet of Wojnowo, there is a monastery of the Old Believers. Centuries ago, this schismatic branch of the Russian Orthodox Church was persecuted in the Tsarist Empire. Some of its adherents fled to Masuria at the time. Heathen tribes, too, have left their mark in the region. For instance, where the Krutynia flows into Lake Beodana.
I am the ruler of the Galindians. Our house is your house.
The old culture of the Galindians is preserved in a historical holiday park. Many centuries ago, the Baltic tribe lived from fishing and hunting.
And the water is still clean and full of fish. We, the Galindians, lived in communion with nature for 2,000 years. We are endeavoring to ensure that we can pass this treasure on to our descendants.
The historic reenactment regularly brings the traditions of the Galindians back to life. The grounds are at once an open-air theatre and holiday paradise. The Gdansk lock is near the town of Ruciana Nida. Thousands of boats pass through this bottleneck each year. It is the southern edge of the Masurian Lake District. It's roughly 80 kilometers as the crow flies to the northern edge and the town of Vegojevo. The way there includes a stop at the upper section of Lake Beodana, a long, skinny lake surrounded by spruce and pines, and one of the most popular in the district. But the post-Ice Age lake has been shrinking for years. Although it is surrounded by forests, it is impacted by agricultural runoff, which enters the lake through tributaries, robs the lake of oxygen, and very slowly turns it to land. In the distance, a peninsula appears. Wild ungulates populate the woods and meadows around the village of Popielno. The free-roaming horses near the shores of Lake Beodana belong to a research station of the Academy of Sciences, which breeds conics, also known as the Polish horse. The animals are considered adaptable and stoic. Popielno has been the center of research into these hoofed animals since about 1950. For comparative studies, the scientists also keep a second herd, which live in enclosures in the station's paddocks. The director is veterinarian Musa Ba from Mali. At his side, animal caretaker Marlena Boron.
As you can see, the animals are doing well. They seek contact with people. That's very important. If they were ill, they wouldn't come closer. One would only see them from afar. But these ones like to come close.
Ba has been living in Masuria for 30 years and earned his doctorate at the university in Olstyn.
Miłością darzą wszystkim.
Darzą wszystkim, tak jest.
Besides the Polish horse, the centre has been breeding a traditional aquatic animal since 1958, the beaver. The goal was to protect the species against extinction, and it succeeded. The population in the region has recovered well.
The beaver is the largest European rodent. This one is still very small, of course. Adults can weigh up to 35 kilograms, and they can live up to 20 years. They have exceptionally soft and prized fur. For those reasons, people hunted them for centuries, for the pelts and the meat. Some also believed that wearing an amulet made of beaver teeth would protect against evil, and that wearing beaver-pelled hats made a person cleverer.
The species' only natural enemies are wolves, bears, and people. It builds beaver ponds that serve as a habitat for plants and animals, and also benefit humans as an important store of water. The horse and beaver station sits on the biggest lake in Poland, Lake Śniadwie. Marcin Boron and Krystyna Rozak are setting off on a sailing tour from here.
I return to Masuria whenever I can. It's our first time being here together. I wanted to show her this wonderful place. It would be difficult to find a similar place elsewhere in the world that is so great for sailing.
It's funny that I had to travel the world in order to meet a Masurian sailor in the Caribbean, but that's what happened. And now we're sailing together.
The two of them are on their way to Mikołajki, one of the biggest water sports centers in Masuria. The town is named after the patron saint of fishermen and waterways, Saint Nicholas. The town has only about 4,000 inhabitants, but grows to many times that size in the high season. At this point, the first third of the Lake District has been traversed. Along the way lie countless eyes of heaven, as the lakes are called in Polish due to the reflected clouds on their surfaces. This is the heart of the Masurian Lake District, which is entirely navigable. A sewage treatment plant near Gdańsk. The plant cleans the wastewater from the area and pumps it back into the water cycle in drinking water quality. This involves both a mechanical and a biological process in which bacteria are broken down with the aid of microorganisms. Some locals, though, insist on their own drinking water supply. Nearby, one farmer still draws water from the cistern. We arrive at a marina near Gdańsk. An annual gathering of immaculate classic boats is underway. It's a small community of sailing friends who come together each year. One of the boats, a classic wooden sailboat, is rumored to have once belonged to Hermann Göring, the commander-in-chief of the German Luftwaffe. Echoes of East Prussia, to which Masuria belonged until the end of World War II, reverberate. Set course for Cormorant Island. Regular passenger ships depart for the island from Gdańsk. The steamer trip to the bird sanctuary in Lake Dobski takes 2 hours. It is forbidden to go ashore. The island is a nature reserve. Only sailboats are allowed in the vicinity. Motorized craft must be switched off. Cormorants feed almost exclusively on fish, which they catch together in large groups. Węgorzewo, a town on Lake Mamre and the northern edge of the Lake District. Węgorz is the Polish word for eel, once caught in vast numbers in this area. A few kilometers further, the marina of Stynord. There's an old estate nearby. There are many buildings like this in the area. The estate once belonged to German Junkers who lived here for centuries. Fog descends on Masuria. The Masurian Canal branches out of Lake Mamre between Stynord and Węgorzewo. The Russian border is just 20 kilometers away. It's early in the morning, but Marta Gottwald, member of the Polish national team, is wide awake, training. The angler expertly kneads balls of mud. The Silesian has pursued the sport since the age of 6 and became a world champion in 2016 with the national angling team. There are competitions almost every weekend. The anglers fish for 4 hours. Whoever catches the highest live weight is the winner. Today, Marta Gottwald is training on the Masurian Canal. In accordance with the competition rules, her rod is a mighty 11.5 meters long.
In clear water, we tend to catch smaller fish because the bigger ones are more experienced. It's the same as with people. The older ones are more cautious and only venture into the areas where the water is murky. Smaller fish swim up immediately when you toss in some bait, and they're easy to catch. If there are large fish in an area, there are no small fish. The big ones drive them away.
The equipment for the sport is extensive. A car full of gear and an hour of setup are part of the bargain. There are also different disciplines and styles. Marta fishes with fishing floats or hooks, in contrast to fly or spin fishing.
If the fish has swallowed the hook, we use a professional device that doesn't hurt the fish. But more often than not, the hook doesn't go too deep, and we can just remove it by hand. The fish goes back in the water.
Angling is still a male domain, but women are catching up. Some consider them more precise and patient. Marta actually met her husband Maciek while fishing 15 years ago. He does the sport at the same level. He proposed to her during the 2016 World Championship.
I think it's 200 pieces.
We proceed along the Masurian Canal towards the Russian border. The canal was planned in 1849 with water slopes, like the Elbląg Canal, to scale the elevation changes. Construction was delayed until 1911, however. The subsequent world wars repeatedly halted work. Now the wilderness is reclaiming the land. The waterway is silting up and is largely no longer navigable. The canal was originally intended to go all the way to Königsberg, the now Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, but the project was never completed. The would-be water slopes became locks, few of which were completed. Then the Nazis took control. One of them still bears the evidence. Today, a younger generation has retaken the dam from the grip of history and reinvented it as an adventure playground. The climbers span precipitous drops. And boldly aim for unknown shores. In doing so, they move natural and artificial borders and venture over wild waters to paths untrodden.